I remember mentioning, well, if you put McDavid with McKinnon, could it be the equivalent of Gretzky and Lemieux in '87? And it was pushback on that because Lemieux was younger and he wasn't as established. Well, that's kind of what this could be. Like Lemieux was very young, and they said, you're too good to play on the third or fourth line. You're playing with Gretzky. Like, go play with him and just keep up and just have your stick on the ice and be ready. And clearly that's the messaging here. Like, Celebrini is good enough for that assignment. He has proven it.
It happened fast. A veteran NHL captain and a teenage rookie stepped onto Olympic ice together, and within minutes, the numbers changed. Goals stacked up, veteran speed met teenage precision, and defenses started collapsing shift after shift. Canada's scoring numbers jumped. Opponents changed matchups mid-game. The pairing wasn't planned as the headline, but what happened next forced the hockey world to pay attention. The connection between Connor McDavid and Macklin Celebrini became visible during Canada's preliminary round at the Milano Cortina Winter Olympics. McDavid entered the tournament as team captain and the NHL's most productive forward in recent seasons. Celebrini entered as the youngest skater on Canada's roster at 19 years old. Their shared ice time increased quickly after the opening game. NHL reported that Celebrini was thriving at the first Olympics with family by side. The report detailed how he adapted to the Olympic stage. He was placed on a scoring line early in the tournament. Coaches tested combinations during the first period of the opener. By the second game, Celebrini was skating alongside McDavid during offensive zone starts. In Canada's group stage matchup against France, the top unit produced immediately. Official game stats confirmed Canada scored 10 goals in that game. McDavid recorded multiple assists. Celebrini appeared on the score sheet. Reuters described the result as Canada walloping France to close out the group stage. The scoring pace forced France to adjust defensive coverage by the second period. Sportsnet reported that Canada and the United States showcased superpowers en route to quarterfinals. Canada secured a top seed entering the knockout round. McDavid averaged heavy ice time across the preliminary games. Celebrini's minutes rose from the opener to the final group match. That increase followed point production. The Times of India reported that Macklin Celebrini's strong chemistry with Connor McDavid lifts Team Canada at Milano Cortina Winter Olympics tournament. The article described their puck movement in transition. McDavid carried speed through the neutral zone. Celebrini entered the zone wide, creating passing lanes. Multiple scoring plays developed from those entries. During power play situations, McDavid operated from the half wall. Celebrini rotated into the slot area. NHL Recap detailed scoring sequences that started from that setup. Canada converted on clean puck exchanges. Shot totals in the game heavily favored Canada, and puck possession remained controlled by the top line for extended stretches. Curtis Joseph, speaking to NHL, said, "Winning a gold medal with Canada would mean everything to McDavid." That quote framed the expectations placed on the captain. McDavid responded with multi-assist performances during group play. His role extended beyond scoring. He dictated tempo during line changes and offensive entries. Celebrini's presence on that line introduced speed support. NHL noted his composure in his first Olympic appearance. He did not defer puck control under pressure. He completed controlled passes inside the offensive zone. His back-checking was also referenced in coverage following Canada's early win. Canada entered the quarterfinal stage scheduled to face Czechia. Reuters described it as the Czechs' biggest game against Canada in the men's ice hockey quarterfinals. Canada's offensive output during the group stage positioned them as one of the highest scoring teams entering elimination round. The McDavid-Celebrini pairing remained intact during practice sessions ahead of the game. Celebrini remained on the ice in late-game scenarios when Canada protected lead. That decision reflected role expansion beyond depth usage. The Olympics marked McDavid's first appearance in the games due to NHL participation gaps in 2018 and 2022. This tournament represented his first chance to compete for Olympic gold. Celebrini entered at 19, marking a generational overlap within one forward unit. Their shared shifts created statistical output that shaped early tournament narrative. By the end of the preliminary round, Canada's goal differential ranked among the highest in the field. The McDavid line factored into that margin. Official summaries recorded multi-point games from the captain and scoring support from Celebrini. Opposing coaches adjusted defensive pairings accordingly. Practice reports before the quarterfinal did not indicate changes to their combination. Canada retained the top seed advantage. Matchup focus shifted toward containing McDavid's speed. That defensive emphasis continued to leave space for his line mates. Celebrini remained position to capitalize. As elimination rounds approached, statistical tracking showed Canada's offensive pace sustained from group play. The pairing's ice time percentage during 5-on-5 play stayed consistent. Media coverage centered on their chemistry. Reports referenced structured breakouts and coordinated entries as key drivers of Canada's scoring totals. The story did not revolve around a single highlight goal. It centered on repeatable production, shift after shift, entry after entry, assisted scoring plays recorded in official summary, defensive matchups altered mid-game. The connection between a veteran captain and a teenage forward had moved from experiment to central strategy, and the quarterfinal stage now carried those numbers into knockout pressure.
With Frankie Corrado. Frankie, Brad Marchand watched Canada's last 2 games from up in the seats due to injury, but John Cooper said he'll be back in the lineup for the quarterfinals.
Cleared. Confirmed. Back in the lineup. Brad Marchand is officially returning to Team Canada just as the Olympic knockout stage begins. After missing 2 straight games, his sudden clearance has changed the quarterfinal picture. Coaches stayed quiet. Practices continued behind closed doors. Now the decision is final, and what this means for Canada's medal push is only starting to unfold. Brad Marchand will play in Canada's Olympic quarterfinal game in Milan. Head coach John Cooper confirmed that Marchand will be in the quarters, according to the Hockey News. That statement ended days of uncertainty about his status. Marchand had missed 2 group stage games but continued to practice with the team during that time. Canada completed the preliminary round with a perfect 3-0 record. The team defeated Czechia in its opening game. Marchand played limited minutes in that matchup and recorded 1 assist. After that, he did not dress against Switzerland. He also did not play in Canada's final group game against France. Canada defeated France 10-2 to secure the #1 seed heading into the elimination round. That win locked in a direct path to the quarterfinals. Sidney Crosby recorded multiple points in that game. The offense scored consistently across all 3 periods. Marchand watched from the sidelines as teammates closed out the group stage. Reports describe Marchand's absence as precautionary. He was not listed as a long-term injury case. He participated in team practices and skated in full gear. No public details were released about a specific injury. The Times of India reported that he had been cleared for Team Canada's Olympic quarterfinal return after injury concern. The 2026 Winter Olympics mark the first time since 2014 that NHL players are competing in the games. Canada's roster includes established NHL veterans and top scorers. Marchand brings more than 1,000 NHL games of experience. He has over 900 career points and more than 300 goals in regular season play. He also won a Stanley Cup with the Boston Bruins. With elimination games beginning, roster spots become tighter. Olympic rules limit the number of dressed skaters. Marchand's return means another forward will sit. Reports have mentioned lineup decisions involving players such as Nick Suzuki. Final combinations will appear on the official game sheet before puck drop. Canada now moves into single elimination play. 1 loss ends medal hopes. Marchand's confirmed return adds depth at a critical stage, and the quarterfinal lineup decision carries even more weight now. Marchand's NHL record shows long-term production and durability. He has played more than 1,000 regular season games. He has scored over 300 goals and recorded more than 900 career points. In the Stanley Cup playoffs, he has appeared in more than 140 games. He was part of Boston's 2011 Stanley Cup championship team. Internationally, he represented Canada at the 2016 World Cup of Hockey and scored in the tournament final. Canada's Olympic roster features veteran leaders such as Sidney Crosby and Connor McDavid. Both logged major minutes during the preliminary round. Crosby recorded multiple points against France. McDavid played in all 3 group games. Marchand's return adds another experienced winger who has played in high-pressure playoff games. Olympic tournament rules limit dressed skaters to 12 forwards and 6 defensemen per game. Because Marchand is returning, 1 forward must be scratched. Reports reference lineup considerations involving Nick Suzuki, though no final decision was publicly announced at the time of confirmation. Official line combinations will be known only when the game sheet is released before the quarterfinal. This Olympic tournament in Milan marks the first games with NHL participation since Sochi 2014. The league paused its season to allow players to compete. Canada entered the event as one of the top-seeded teams based on roster depth and experience. The group stage results supported that standing. Marchand's clearance now shifts attention to deployment. Coaches will decide at his ice time, line placement, and special teams usage before puck drop. The quarterfinal begins a new phase, and the final roster choices will define Canada's next step in the medal round.
Sidney Crosby is aging like a fine wine.
Offensively, defensively, through the neutral zone, best player in the game.
I'm telling you, the best winner right now, Sidney Crosby.
Welcome to the Crosby Show, Canada. Slap me, silly, Sidney.
From Rimouski, the Quebec Major Junior League, Sidney Crosby.
Sidney Crosby has already broken American hearts once at the Olympics. 16 years after the golden goal, he is back on the Olympic stage in 2026. Canada has speed. Canada has scoring. But the most important piece of this gold medal run might still be number 87. Sidney Crosby may be Canada's secret weapon for Olympic gold. Team Canada has opened the 2026 tournament with a perfect 3-0 record in the group stage. They secured first place in Group A, including a decisive 5-1 win over Switzerland. Connor McDavid and Nathan MacKinnon have driven the offense. Jordan Binnington has been steady in goal. The NHL stars have returned to Olympic competition for the first time since 2014, and Canada looks deep. But beneath the speed and scoring is something less obvious. Crosby scored his 6th career Olympic goal in the win over Switzerland. It was his first Olympic goal in 12 years. The moment-connected era, from Vancouver to Sochi to Milano Cortina. While McDavid leads the rush and MacKinnon pushes the pace, Crosby controls the rhythm. That difference matters in tournament hockey. The Olympic format is short. There are no 7-game series. There is no time to adjust after multiple losses. One elimination game can end a gold medal run. In that environment, experience becomes critical. Crosby understands this structure better than most players in the tournament. In 2010, he scored the overtime winner against the United States to secure gold on home ice. In 2014, he captained Canada through a disciplined, defensively dominant tournament in Sochi. Those runs were not built on speed alone. They were built on control. At 2026, Canada has speed in abundance. McDavid may be the fastest player in the world with the puck. MacKinnon's north-south power forces defenders to retreat, but speed without control can become chaotic under pressure. Crosby provides the control. Face-offs are one example. In elimination games, defensive zone draws late in periods carry enormous weight. Crosby's career face-off percentage and his reliability in key situations reduce extended defensive pressure. Winning possession immediately after a whistle limits chaos. Puck protection is another factor. Crosby's ability to shield the puck along the boards buys time for line changes and resets. In tight Olympic games, that small advantage compounds over 60 minutes. Leadership inside the locker room is less visible but equally important. Canada's roster includes generational talents in McDavid and MacKinnon, but neither has won Olympic gold with a full NHL field. Crosby has done it twice. That credibility shapes preparation. The 2026 team blends youth and experience. McDavid drives the offense. MacKinnon generates high shot volume. But when momentum shifts, the bench looks to veterans. In short tournaments, emotional swings can derail structure. Crosby's calm presence reduces that risk. Through 3 group games, Canada has not trailed for extended periods. They have dictated tempo early, but knockout rounds present a different test. The United States remains unbeaten in its group. Sweden plays structured defensive hockey. Finland thrives in tight games. Canada's power play has operated efficiently in the group stage. McDavid and MacKinnon control the half wall. Crosby often positions near the goal line or net front, creating passing angles and screening goaltenders. His awareness in tight spaces extends possession and opens lanes. On the penalty kill, Crosby reads passing lanes and anticipates rebound. Olympic games often swing on special teams. Veteran anticipation reduces breakdown. Jordan Binnington has been steady through the group stage, but goaltending always carries uncertainty in short tournaments. If a game tightens late, leadership on the bench becomes critical. Crosby's communication with line mates and defensemen reinforces structure shift by shift. Another factor is tournament pacing. The Olympic schedule compresses games into short windows. Fatigue builds quickly. Crosby's style relies less on raw speed and more on positioning and anticipation. That efficiency preserves energy over over multiple rounds. Canada's 3-0 start signals strong preparation. The 5-1 win over Switzerland highlighted offensive depth. McDavid recorded 3 points. McKinnon recorded 3 points. Secondary scoring contributed, but beneath the numbers, the team maintained defensive shape. That balance reflects veteran influence. The return of NHL participation elevates the overall talent level of the tournament. The gap between contenders narrows. Sweden, Finland, and the United States all bring elite players. In that environment, marginal advantages matter. Early goals can change strategy entirely. Canada's path to gold will not rely solely on highlight reel rushes. It will require managing momentum, closing out tight periods, and executing special teams. Through the group stage in Milano Cortina, Canada has shown speed, scoring depth, and defensive structure. As the tournament shifts into knockout rounds, those strengths remain essential. But in Olympic history, Canada's gold medal runs have often been defined by composure in defining moments. In 2010, it was Crosby finishing the tournament. In 2014, it was Crosby captaining a disciplined roster. In 2026, it may be Crosby guiding a new generation through pressure. McDavid drives the attack. McKinnon fuels the tempo. Binnington guards the net. And Sidney Crosby, once again, may be the steady force that turns talent into gold.
Canada opens their chase for Olympic gold with a 5-0 win over Czechia. And here to talk about it is Marty Biron. So, Marty, right off the bat, what was the biggest reason for this Canada win?
Well, I look at the skill level, right? Team Canada's skill level, when you look at the forwards, is like, and unlike any other teams, like they are so far and above beyond like any teams in the tournament.
Silence fell over the arena as Team Canada did more than win. They sent a message. Sidney Crosby didn't just wear the captain. He controlled the pace, the bench, and the moment. 5 goals, 0 against. A shutout that shook Czechia. But what happened behind the plays showed why this captaincy could change the entire Olympic tournament.
Team Canada, they're only going to get better from here. They were really sharp. They had things really figured out in the offensive zone, and that is only going to get better. That's only going to become more dangerous for the opposition as this tournament goes on.
Sidney Crosby entered the 2026 Winter Olympics as captain of Team Canada. Hockey Canada officially named him captain before the tournament began. This marked his return to Olympic play after more than a decade. He previously won gold medals in 2010 and 2014. In 2010, he scored the overtime goal that secured Canada's gold medal. Now he was back in charge of a new generation. Canada opened the tournament with a 5-0 win over Czechia. The result was clear and dominant. Nathan McKinnon scored. Bo Horvat added a goal. Nick Suzuki scored. Mark Stone contributed. 19-year-old Macklin Celebrini also scored in his Olympic debut. The scoring came from multiple lines. That showed depth and structure across the roster. Connor McDavid served as alternate captain. He recorded 3 assists in the game against Czechia. His passing directly led to goals. After the match, McDavid spoke about Crosby's leadership. He described Crosby as a calming presence. That quote reflected how the leadership group functioned inside the locker room. Jordan Binnington started in goal and stopped all 26 shots he faced. The shutout prevented Czechia from gaining momentum. Canada did not allow a goal in any period. The defensive coverage stayed organized. Players blocked lane. They limited rebound. That level of control reflected preparation and discipline. Head coach John Cooper addressed the team's mindset after the game. He noted that the group did not act with entitlement despite its star talent. He emphasized unity and collective effort. His comments connected leadership to team culture. Crosby's role extended beyond scoring. As captain, he led bench communication and shift management. Olympic tournaments move quickly. Early games shape standings and confidence. The 5-0 result placed Canada in a strong position in group play. The game against Czechia was Canada's first Olympic appearance with NHL players since 2014. Expectations were high. The performance matched those expectations. 5 goals scored, 0 allowed, 3 assists from McDavid, 26 saves from Binnington. Crosby returned to Olympic ice as captain. The opening win showed structure, control, and leadership from the first puck drop. The impact of Crosby's captaincy was confirmed even before the puck drop. When Hockey Canada announced him as captain, they reported that he had already won 2 Olympic gold medals. That history placed him as the most experienced leader on the roster. His return connected the 2010 and 2014 championship teams to the 2026 squad. Connor McDavid's 3 assists were direct factors in the scoring play. He did not score, but he influenced multiple goals. His role as alternate captain supported Crosby's leadership. After the game, McDavid again referred to Crosby as a calming presence. That remark carried weight inside a roster filled with NHL captains and all-stars. Crosby's Olympic record added context to his authority. In 2010, he scored the overtime gold medal goal in Vancouver. In 2014, he captained Canada to another gold medal in Sochi. His leadership in those tournaments remains documented in Olympic record. Now, in 2026, he leads again. Head coach John Cooper stated that the team played without entitlement. He emphasized that star power alone does not win games. The 5-0 result came from structured play and discipline. Canada scored in different situations and maintained defensive balance. 5 separate players scored against Czechia. That spread of offense showed depth. The shutout showed defensive control. The captaincy decision placed Crosby at the center of both. The opening game established Canada's position in the tournament standing. It also reinforced the leadership hierarchy announced before the Olympics began. The structure held firm from the first shift to the final horn.
For the captain of Team USA, Austin Matthews, where does he slot in terms of players feeling pressure and expectations coming into this tournament?
I think he's at the top of the list. I really do. I think for a number of reasons. What you just said about the history of USA hockey, like they have to pounce. They believe in their